Hi, welcome to this week's Rational Thinking. My name's Pranav, and this week I'll be talking you through the Brexit deadline extension and meeting minutes from the Fed and the ECB. The pound experienced further turbulence last week as Brexit uncertainty continued to dominate the headline. Thursday night's EU Council meeting saw EU leaders agree to push out the Brexit deadline, which is longer than what the UK was anticipating, but shorter than what most EU leaders had in mind. The delay means that the UK will now have to take part in the EU elections on the 22nd of May, and also a review of progress is likely to take place to see whether a deal is any closer to being reached in June. The move has angered many MPs, as most MPs did not want an extension to the Brexit deadline, so it is hardly going to come as a surprise if MPs are now going to take as much action as they can to replace Theresa May as the Prime Minister. Last week's ECB minutes insisted that Mario Draghi was prepared to use all instruments available to the central bank to support the Eurozone economy. Traders are widely expecting a slowdown in the bloc, and depending on how things play out, the ECB may need to roll out an aggressive targeted liquidity program in September. Last week's Federal Reserve meeting minutes were more hawkish than expected, with several US policymakers indicating that they were open to the prospect of raising US interest rates in order to support the economy. Although the Federal Reserve kept interest rates on hold last month and trimmed its growth forecasts, the FOMC remained cautious to give themselves the optionality to move policy in either direction if needed. This would suggest that US policymakers aren't overly concerned about a potential slowdown in the US economy. This week's UK economic data is unlikely to offer much in the way of comfort, with inflation expected to edge a little higher and a nudge up in wages to compensate. Retail sales are expected to fall, with the March 29th Brexit deadline likely to have weighed in on consumer spending. Thank you for listening to this week's Rational Thinking. If you wish to discuss any of your currency exposures with one of our dealers, please feel free to get in contact using the below details, and we'll be more than happy to assist.